shattering your distorted parental mirror, quieting and countering your inner critic. It's hard to fight an enemy who has outposts in your head. Sally Kempton. Let me listen to me and not to them. Gertrude Stein. People who were emotionally abused or neglected in childhood tend to have much in common, including a tendency to continually evaluate themselves, judge themselves harshly, and set unreasonable expectations and standards for themselves. Unfortunately, even though these tendencies may be a direct result of how your parents treated you, they don't go away just because you have successfully separated from your parents. My client Connie describes herself this way. I'm an educated woman, but I feel so incompetent and stupid most of the time. I constantly compare myself with other people and always end up feeling inferior in some way. I am constantly amazed how other people seem to be able to speak up and not worry about whether what they say is going to be negatively judged by others, because I'm always afraid I'll say something that will let other people know just how incompetent I really am. If you identified with some or all of Connie's feelings, you also have a powerful inner critic. The following questionnaire will help you determine just how powerful your inner critic is. Your inner critic. A person raised by nurturing, supportive parents normally develops an inner critic who represents internalized rules and consequences. This inner critic causes him to feel signal anxiety when contemplating an action that goes against his value system, as well as guilt and sometimes depression if he actually transgresses. In this way, a healthy inner critic provides self-imposed punishment that keeps a person's behavior under the control of his or her system of morality. But anxiety, guilt, and depression are kept within reasonable bounds because his conscience is modeled on his parents' reasonable attitudes. Your inner critic likely treats you with the same lack of understanding and acceptance that your parents did when you were growing up. One of its major jobs is to motivate you toward unreachable ideals. It keeps egging you on to reach that perfect image, never letting you rest or feel satisfied. Our inner critic's function is to maintain the status quo in two ways. It keeps us away from what it considers to be dangerous or unmanageable parts of ourselves. Your inner critic or judge not only evaluates you according to its own standards, it also constantly compares you with other people. How to identify your inner critic? The sad truth is that it doesn't matter what you have accomplished in life, how much success you experience, how beautiful or handsome you are, or what efforts you make to raise your self-esteem. If you have a powerful inner critic who chastises constantly or who discounts your achievements at every turn, your self-esteem will always be low. Your inner critic has many roles. It is that part of you who creates rules describing how you ought to behave and then screams at you that you are wrong or bad if your needs drive you to violate its rules. Blames you for things that go wrong. Calls you names such as stupid, ugly, and weak, and makes you believe that the names are true. Compares you to others, especially to their achievements and abilities, and finds you wanting. Sets impossible standards of perfection. If you were emotionally abused as a child, the chances are high that your inner critic is undermining your self-worth every day of your life. Its voice is so insidious, so woven into the fabric of your very being, that you seldom, if ever, notice its devastating effects. Your inner critic often appears as your own voice, making it seem as if you are the one who has these notions about what is right, what is necessary, or what things mean. But make no mistake about it, the voice you hear is not yours. It belongs to someone who lives inside you, someone you've brought along with you on your life's journey. By paying attention to your self-judgments, you will begin to realize that they were learned from others. These standards can actually run counter to what you yourself want, feel, or know to be true. Unfortunately, even when you realize the voice is not yours, you cannot separate from it. Hard as you may try not to, you continue to watch yourself, keeping track of your pluses and minuses. How to disengage from the inner critic. The second step in learning how to disengage from your inner critic or judge is to observe yourself closely while you are experiencing an attack. This will not be an easy task. It will require you to stay present, paying particular attention to your body and your emotional reactions. Pick a self-attack you have recently noticed or one that is very familiar to you. If at all possible, find a time and place to be quiet so you can stay with your inner process. By staying with your feelings, you may sense that feeling this way is a familiar experience. In fact, it probably has happened many times before. Staying with the feelings that come up will also tend to open you to associated feelings and beliefs about the situation. Externalizing your inner dialogue. The critical voice can be activated in any situation in which you find yourself feeling vulnerable or exposed. Once activated, a shaming spiral is set in motion that has a power of its own. Therefore, it is imperative that you externalize this internal dialogue, because it is one of the major ways you keep yourself feeling bad about yourself. It will help you to make the internal dialogue conscious as well as take away some of its power over you. Talking back to your inner critic. Your self-esteem has no chance of improving as long as you are constantly being bombarded by the negative messages from your inner critic. One of the most powerful ways of muting and countering your inner critic is to talk back to him or her. Literally. Most people are very uncomfortable with the idea of talking back to their inner critic. The following phrases have proven to be particularly powerful in silencing an inner critic. Choose the ones that feel good to you, that empower you, that make you feel angry. Say no more. Stop it. This is poison. Stop it. Get off my back. When your inner critic becomes a saboteur. Sometimes it almost seems as if there is a part of us that is bent on sabotaging anything good that comes our way. It especially rears its ugly head when we are trying to make changes to our lives or to break old, negative patterns. I have struggled with a powerful inner saboteur all my adult life. Most recently, it appeared as I began to work on changing the resistance to physical exercise I've had most of my life. After I joined a health club and began swimming regularly and taking aqua aerobics classes, I found that I loved exercising in the water, that in fact it touched something deep in my soul. In my dream, I was with a supportive group of people having fun. I decided to take a shower, which was in the same room. I took off my clothes and got into a glass-enclosed shower. The people around me weren't looking at me, and I felt safe in their presence. I was loving the feeling of the water on my unclothed, the sensuality of the feel of my skin. I felt very young and very innocent. Suddenly, a preacher came into the shower and started grabbing at mammary gland.